The Love Song of a J.L. Folk 1950. The Wasteland is a 1922. The Hollow Man 1925. As Wednesday 1930. Fort Quarters 1943. Murder in Cathedral 1935. The Cocktail Party 1949. Who says the progress of an artist is continuous self-sacrifice, a continual extension of a personality? Who says the progress of an artist is a continuous self-sacrifice, a continual extension of a personality? T.S. Eliot, I. Richards, F.R. Lewis, Matthew Arnold. Tradition Indivisible is the most famous work of T.S. Eliot, in which he says the progress of an artist is continual self-sacrifice, a continual extension of a personality. Tradition Indivisible Talent 1919 is an essay first published in the Agnostic 1990 and later in the T. Eliot's first book of the Criticism Sacred Book 1920. The essay is also available in Eliot's selected prose and selected essays. Who among the following critics consider criticism to be the disseminations of ideas, unprejudiced, impartial effort to study and spread the best that is known and thought in the world? Who among the following critics considers criticism to be the disseminations of ideas and unprejudiced and impartial effort to study and spread the best that is known and thought in the world? Matthew Arnold. Matthew Arnold, he was a British poet and critic during the Victorian era. He considers criticism to be the disseminations of ideas and prejudiced and impartial effort to study, spread the best that is known and thought in the world. In 1847, Arnold became a private secretary to Lord Landor and Lord President of the Council in 1849. He published his first book of a poetry, Straight Regular, and in 1850 Memorial Verses. In 1852, he published his second volume of poems, Empedocles on Itna and other poems. Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Radhe Radhe, Har Har Mahadev. Who said a poetry of a revolt against the moral ideas is poetry of a revolt against life? A poetry of a revolt against moral ideas and poetry of a revolt against life. T.S. Eliot. A poetry of revolt against the moral ideas and revolt against life is said by the Matthew Arnold. Welcome to Hare Radhe Radhe. Everyone join that the live class. If you are comfortable, just you join that here. I am studying. If you like my video, so please subscribe and like the given statement. The poetry of a revolt against the moral ideas are is a poetry of a revolt against life is said by the Matthew Arnold. As the critic, Matthew Arnold is essentially a moralist and has very definite ideas about what should and should not be. He is known as the first modern critic and could be called the critics and critics. The purpose of literary criticism in his views was to be know the best that is known and thought in the world, and by its turn making this known to create a current of the true and fresh ideas. Eliot wrote as per nursery a few years after his conversion to which Christian denominations, Baptist, Methodist, Catholic and Anglican. T.S. Eliot wrote as finished in 1927 after the conversions to Anglicanism and Christianity and dominations published in 1930. This poem deals with the struggle that issues when one who has lacked faith in the past strives to move toward God. As Penance is a poem about the difficulty of the religious belief and concerned with the personal solutions in the age of uncertainty. Thus, the correct option is this. T.S. Eliot. Let's read the few of these. In which of the following poems T.S. Eliot creates a mysterious landscape haunted by the female figures, the wasteland and four quarters germinations as Wednesday. In which of the following poems T.S. Eliot creates a mysterious landscape haunted by female fingers? So in germinations, T.S. Eliot creates a mysterious landscape haunted by the female figures. Germinations means in a Greek little old man and dramatic monologue relating the opinions and impressions of an elderly man and which describe Europe after World War First and through the eyes of man who has lived most of a life in the 19th century. When was the year's Love of a Jail for first published? Poetry magazine, Chicago magazine, Proof Folk, and other observations at four quarters. So where was the Elias Love Song of a Jail was published? So poem The Love of a Jail Folk by T.S. Eliot was first published in Poetry magazine in 1950 in a book form in Proof Folk and other observation in 1970. J. Alfred Prufrock, fictional character in this middle-aged man in whose was an Anglo-American poet. T.S. Eliot wrote his dramatic monologue and expresses his feelings that he has lost youth and happiness. Who among the following has said poetry is organization rather than inspirations? T.S. Eliot, Aristotle, John Dryden, Walter Pater. Who among the following has said poetry is organization rather than inspiration? So T.S. Eliot has said poetry is organization rather than inspiration because Eliot compares the poet mind to jaw and receptacle, which are stories of the numberless feelings, emotions, etc., which remain there is unorganized and chaotic form till all the particles which can be united to form a new compound are present together. Thus, poetry is organization rather than inspiration. These lines have taken from the traditional individual that refutes the theory of the Wordsworth. In which of the following essay did Eliot coin the term objective correlative? Did coin the term objective tradition individual talent? The objective correlative is term popularized by T.S. Eliot in his essay Hamlet and His Problems. Objective correlative is a term popularized by T.S. Eliot in his essay in Hamlet and his problems 1919 and published in the Secret Book 1920. The term was originally used in the 19th century by the painter Washington Allister. In short, the phrase objective correlative means situation and set of the events which act as a formula for evoking and particular emotions in play. According to Eliot, Hamlet an artistic failure and Macbeth artistic success. Who define poetry in the following manner? Poetry is not the turning loose of emotion, but an escape from the emotion. It is not the expressions of personality, but an escape from the personality. So, who define the poetry of the following? Poetry is not the turning loose of emotion, but an escape from the emotions. It is not the expressions of personality, but an escape from the personality. So T.S. Eliot, I. Richards, F. for Lewison, I for the events. So the above definition of poetry is given by T.S. Eliot in Tradition Individual Talent 99 1919. According to Eliot, the poet must consciously escape from the personal experience, emotions, and belief in the process of a poetic creation. Emotions and passions of the poet must be dependentized and must be impersonal, objective, and scientist, and there should be extension of a poet's personality. In which poem T.S. Eliot do the following lines occur. April is the cruelest month. It is Ritka wasteland. April is the cruelest month, breeding a lilies out of the dead land, mixing memory and desires, cheering, dull,